Hello, this is Thomas, K4SWL, and I'm out here today at Lake James State Park. I'm going to do a Parks on the Air activation out here today. On the way to visit my family for my parents for a few days, and this is a really easy detour on the way. It's a really pleasant day today, beautiful, beautiful weather, and a little chilly, not bad at all. It's about 20 degrees warmer here than it is up at my house in the mountains. So to me, it feels summer-like. But as you can see, there's hardly anyone here because I guess it's cold enough. It keeps people away from the lake. That's fine. I'm out here today to do an activation, and a really good excuse to do an activation today. One of our subscribers, Philip, who's a newly licensed ham radio operator, is contemplating the purchase of a Yaesu FT-817. And this is a radio that I am very familiar with. Actually, what I have here in front of me now is the FT-817ND model, so a little older than the current 818 model. Mine has been modified, and I'll talk a little bit about that. Not modified, there's just an add-on board that I have on here. I'll talk about it a little bit later. But Philip is very interested in this radio as he starts out because it does a little bit of everything. It's QRP. He wants to take it to the field. And I thought maybe I could do a little video just kind of showing what it can do, what it sounds like, and, if you can successfully use it for a Parks on the Air activation. Today, let's see, here's all the equipment I have. I've got the 817. I've got this buddy board, which is actually a little board made by my friend Andy, G7UHN. He uses an Arduino Nano and actually a different, I think, Arduino Now. This is a version 2 board, and I've been kind of helping him with testing this little guy. And all it basically does is it makes the it breaks out this small display on the 817, 818, and it makes it easier to see when you have it in the field and it's sitting down on top of, like a log or something. It actually isn't used as much when you have a tabletop and you've got a bail underneath. And I've got these side rails on mine that come with a bail. So I won't be using it as much today just because I'll be looking at the front of the radio. But usually when I'm in the field, if I take a radio out, I'm just sitting maybe on a log or on a stool and the radio's sitting on the ground. This thing is great because it helps you see everything, the frequency and everything very easily. This is the version 2 board. The version 3 board will have a memory keyer in it, and I'll be testing that before long, and I'll surely demonstrate that. So I've got the FT-817ND, a BioNO 3 amp hour lithium iron phosphate battery. This one has actually been used for another activation already, and I haven't recharged it. I hope it'll make it today, doing the full activation. If not, in my pack over here, I've got a 15 amp hour one, which is way overkill for this, but we'll see. I also have an internal battery here in the 817, but I want a full 5 watts out, so that's the reason I'm using the external battery pack. In terms of antenna, I have no antenna tuner here. Philip may not have one when he first gets his 817, so I decided just to use a resonant antenna. I've got a little BNC connector, or a BNC cable running here. I think it's like a 10-foot cable going to my EFT trail-friendly end-fed antenna. You can see here some of the details. This is a PAR end-fed EFT trail-friendly. It's a 10, 20, and 40 meter resonant antenna, so it needs no antenna tuner on those bands. Now I have to admit, if it's not completely resonant, it's probably because I've beat this thing up so badly lately. I've used this antenna easily on probably more than 150 field activations, and it has been a brilliant antenna. But some of the last times I've been pulling it out of trees, I have definitely done a little damage where where the coil is, sort of way up the line here. I don't want to shake things up too much. But there's a coil that's up in a tree up here. You can't see it very easily. And so if it's not quite resonant, it's probably due to some antenna damage more than anything. I've got a lot of extra bags here. It's only because I haven't made a full field kit just for my 817 yet. So just to make sure I didn't lose anything or forget something, I brought extra stuff with me today. So let's get started here. This is not a super rare park. In fact, it's anything but. The Lake James Park has been activated numerous times in the past. I've done it at least probably 5 times myself. So my activation today is really just going to be show what the radio's like, and just have a little radio fun, really. I think that I'll have pretty good success here. I love this antenna, and this is a wonderful radio, and hopefully you'll be able to see the display on the screen here. And I think what we'll do is start out with single sideband today with the 817. Oh, I've got it on the 40 meter band already. Showing the voltage low coming off of the battery here, which may mean, let me check one thing here real quick. That might mean that either I don't have this plugged in all the way, or see if it changes when I pull this off. No, it doesn't. Okay, so this is not working. Let me grab another patch cable here. I think I've got one with me. If not, I'll use the internal battery. But I've got an internal battery in there right now, and it may be kind of fun actually just doing the activation with that as well. I don't have an issue with that whatsoever. Let's see here. I know what I can use. This will at least confirm whether or not that cable, it may have a burnt out fuse in it. Let's just find out. I got this little guy here that's basically just a breakout power puck, and I can probably use it to connect to the 817. Let's just try that and see. This may not be elegant though, I gotta say. Okay, here we go. Let's plug this in here. And that brought it up to 13.2 volts. There we go. Okay, so we'll just use this for right now. If you haven't watched any of my videos before, you've probably learned already, just by watching this much, that these are real-time, unedited videos. So hang on to your seat. If you're wanting something a little faster paced, this is not it. You may want to skip on and find another person on YouTube. I try to do these videos, and I act like you're here with me at the park, which you are, and which I appreciate the company. Well, I'm hearing a lot of activity. I think there's an SSB contest going on right now. Yeah, that's exactly what's going on. There's an SSB contest, I think. Let's just listen around and see if we can find a clear spot. When I look for a clear spot on the dial, by the way, if you can see this or not a little bit, there's a little bit of light going. I'm sorry about the light, the way it is right now. It's sunsetting a little bit. I try to find frequencies that are not even frequencies, because that's sometimes where people have things like nets and that sort of thing. There's a little noise there. That's awfully close to 250. Let's see. I'll ask if this frequency is in use. Now, I don't need to tune up because this is a resonant antenna. Is this frequency in use? This is K4SWL. Is this frequency in use? This is K4SWL. Okay, so what I'll start doing is calling CQ POTA here. I will tell you that this radio does not have a it doesn't have a voice memory keyer, and it doesn't have a CW memory keyer. Like I said, the next version of the board that comes out for this will have a CW memory keyer built into it. But because of that, I don't have access to well, it's not access. I don't have a way to have it call CQ while I'm talking to you, so it's going to be a lot of talking, and probably me losing track of what's going on a whole lot because I can't do two things at once very well, but I'll be talking as I'm doing this, so let's just give it a go and see what happens. What do you say? CQ POTA, this is Kilo 4, Sierra Whiskey Lima calling CQ for Parks on the Air. Now I'm going to change the meter here to show power output. Let's see. Okay, it's showing SWR right now. There we go. CQ POTA, this is Kilo 4, Sierra Whiskey Lima calling CQ for Parks on the Air. I've spotted myself to the POTA network, so people know I'll be out here. CQ POTA, this is Kilo 4, Sierra Whiskey Lima calling CQ for Parks on the Air. Now, off the side here, I'm actually operating I've actually got my logging software going, which makes it a lot easier to do this. CQ POTA, this is Kilo 4, Sierra Whiskey Lima calling CQ for Parks on the Air. Kilo 3, Bravo Oscar Alpha, you've got a great signal about 5x9 here at park number 2739 QSL.
Okay, copy the 59, yeah, great signal here too, 59 West Virginia.
Roger, roger, thank you very much for that 59 in West Virginia. Hey, 7-3s and have a great week.
Okay, 73, enjoy.
QRZ, this is Kilo 4, Sierra Whiskey Lima for Parks on the Air. CQ POTA, this is Kilo 4, Sierra Whiskey Lima calling CQ for Parks on the Air. CQ POTA, this is Kilo 4, Sierra Whiskey Lima calling CQ for Parks on the Air. Victor Alpha 3, Tango Bravo, you've got a great signal 5x9 here at park number 2739 QSL. Thank you very much, my friend. Glad to hear my signal's making 5 watts is making it into Ontario today. Hey, 7-3s and have yourself a great week.
And you, thanks, 7-3.
QRZ, this is Kilo 4, Sierra Whiskey Lima for Parks on the Air. CQ POTA, this is Kilo 4, Sierra Whiskey Lima calling CQ for Parks on the Air. Park to park station, go ahead. Roger, roger on the 5x7 into 1878. Thank you very much for the contact today. Good to hear you out here. And you're about a 5x7 here at Park 2739 QSL.
Roger, roger. Good to have you on sideband for a change, my friend. Good luck in
7-3s, my friend. You have yourself a wonderful week. QRZ, this is Kilo 4, Sierra Whiskey Lima for Parks on the Air. So for people who wonder if 5 watts single sideband works, I'm here in North Carolina. I've worked stations all the way down to Florida and Ontario just now, so that can help answer your question. CQ POTA, this is Kilo 4, Sierra Whiskey Lima calling CQ for Parks on the Air.
Whiskey 5, Foxtrot, Kilowatt, November.
Whiskey 5, Foxtrot Kilowatt November. You've got a great signal 5x9 here at Park 2739 QSL.
QSL, you're 5 and what, 51 in North Texas, QSL?
7-3, yes I did, I got you QSL on that 5x1 into North Texas. Thank you very much for the contact, my friend, in 7-3s.
Roger, roger, 51 in North Texas, thank you for another one.
7-3s, my friend, you have a great week. QRZ, this is Kilo 4, Sierra Whiskey Lima for Parks on the Air. CQ POTA, this is Kilo 4, Sierra Whiskey Lima calling CQ for Parks on the Air. One thing I'll tell you, whenever you hear an adjacent signal like we're hearing that kind of zzz sound, that means that for other people there could be some QRM and they may not be able to hear you well. CQ POTA, this is Kilo 4, Sierra Whiskey Lima calling CQ for Parks on the Air. Okay, the Kilo Fox Niner station, go ahead. The Kilo Fox Niner station, go ahead.
Thank you. Kilo Foxtrot Niner, Whiskey, KF9WW. You're 5 and 7 in Indiana, over.
Roger, Roger. Kilo Fox 9, Whiskey. I've got you here. You're a 5x9 here at park number 2739, QSL.
I thank you for the 592739. Good luck and enjoy.
Thank you very much, my friend. You have a wonderful week. QRZ, this is Kilo 4, Sierra Whiskey Lima for Parks on the Air.
Kilo 2, Delta X-Ray.
The Delta X-Ray station, go ahead.
Kilo Whiskey 2, Delta X-Ray.
Kilo Whiskey 2, Delta X-Ray. Great to have you in the logs today. You're coming in 5x9. Great signal into park 2739, QSL.
QSL, very good. Had you 5757 into Iowa. 73, thank you.
7-3s, my friend. Thank you very much and have a wonderful week. QRZ, this is Kilo 4, Sierra Whiskey Lima for Parks on the Air.
Kilo Delta 2, Tango Uniform Sierra.
Kilo Delta 2, Tango Uniform Sierra. You've got a great signal 5x9 at park 2739, QSL.
Very good, QSL, thank you. You're also a 5'9" into New Jersey, 7-3, and have fun.
7-3s, you have yourself a wonderful week. QRZ, this is Kilo 4, Sierra Whiskey Lima for Parks on the Air. See, there's actually, you hear that beep sound, that's someone either tuning up or it's an AM signal, likely someone tuning up. CQ POTA, this is Kilo 4, Sierra Whiskey Lima calling CQ for Parks on the Air.
Kilo 2, Hotel Alpha.
Kilo 2, Hotel Alpha, you've got a great signal about 5x9 here at park 2739, QSL.
QSL, I have you 5-7 here in Papa Alpha.
Roger on the 5x7 and Papa Alpha. Hey, you have yourself a wonderful week and 7-3s.
Peace and blessings to you.
QRZ, this is Kilo 4, Sierra Whiskey Lima for Parks on the Air. CQ POTA, this is Kilo 4, Sierra Whiskey Lima calling CQ for Parks on the Air. Okay, and you hear that station that adjacent signal there? When you hear that, you know that it's going to be tough for people to hear my 5-watt signal if that is a loud station that's next door. You see that's coming up S8 right there? That's a very loud signal. I'll give one more call. I've got 8 logs so far. I'll easily be able to do my 10 today, and I've got to make this a quick activation, so I won't make this long. But I'm going to wait for them to stop. This is obviously not a contest station because they're taking a while. Let's see where they are. See, I'm 2 kilohertz away. CQ POTA, this is Kilo 4, Sierra Whiskey Lima calling CQ for Parks on the Air. Now you'll see I haven't been writing anything down in my log here, but I'm doing that because I don't really need to put anything in my log. I'm logging here on my computer next. CQ POTA, this is Kilo 4, Sierra Whiskey Lima calling CQ for Parks on the Air. Okay, you know what? We've done single sideband. Let's move now to the CW portion. Let's try this. Let's see. I always have to remember how to do this. I think I've got that maybe on my other VFO. Yes, I do. So this is CW. I'm on 7064. I've already got my key plugged in. And let's talk for just a second about some of the really cool things about the 817 or the 818. So the radio itself is, I was telling Philip actually, it reminds me of like if it were a car, I think it would be a Toyota Corolla, which is, that's at least what it's branded by here in the US as a Corolla. It's just kind of like a small sedan that just works. And that's what the 817's like. It's the 818, which is the latest iteration of the 817, is identical in every respect. It has, I think, 1 extra watt out and just a few other small upgrades, but basically it's the same radio. Yaesu told me that they had to change the model number because they made enough adjustments inside that it required it for, I guess, FCC approval or something. I'm not exactly sure, but they had to change the model number, and that's the reason they did it. This radio has been out, I would venture to say this. In fact, I won't put money on it, but I think this radio, it must be the longest running production QRP radio ever in the ham radio world. I bought one of these, the original 817, a first production run model. I think it was in 2001. I was living in the UK at the time and traveling all over Europe, and I wanted a small radio to take with me. And up to this point, there were no radios this small that were full general coverage and even included HF, VHF, and UHF multi-mode. I mean, that was just unheard of. And I bought it. I loved it. Mine, those very first production models had an issue with finals failing in them, and mine had that happen. They burned out. I had to get them replaced while I was in the UK. Not a big deal though. I took it around with me. I did some hamming from home, and this was my only radio I owned when I lived in Europe. I used it at home as a home transceiver for just QRP, and when I would travel, I'd take it with me. Turns out that when I traveled, and this, I think some of the time I had it was, most of the time I had it was after 9/11, and restrictions made it a little more complicated to take anything odd looking with you, and I always carry just one bag when I travel. I've always done that. I just keep one carry-on bag. I'm a kind of a minimalist traveler, so this meant that I had to go through security with it. I was only questioned one time that I recall, maybe at Heathrow Airport or something, but most people I'd tell them it's a ham radio transceiver and they can see it's mass-produced. It wasn't a big deal, but I found that when I traveled, I actually used it more for shortwave radio listening, because with the AM, it only has, I think, 1 AM bandwidth, but it sounds pretty good on the broadcast bands, and I enjoyed using this radio. A lot of people, if they're looking at the 818, probably compare it with the Elecraft KX2, and they also probably compare it now with the Xiegu G90. And I reviewed the G90. The G90 is $450 new, and that's a radio that's HF, general coverage. It's an SDR-based radio, and it even has a built-in antenna tuner. The 818 you can purchase brand new for, I think it's about $610 US, and it has 5 watts out. The G90 has 20 watts out. The Elecraft KX2, if you buy an assembled version of it instead of the kit version, I think it's a little over $800 for the basic one. It doesn't include an internal antenna tuner at that price, and it doesn't include the battery with it, but you have an option for an internal battery and an internal antenna tuner. The G90 has an internal antenna tuner, but no option for an internal battery. The 818 or 817s, if you're looking at a used one, they actually have an internal battery option, and you can buy those on Amazon. I think I bought mine brand new for a little over $20, and it works fine. You get a 2.5 watts out when you do that. It has no internal antenna tuner. So if you want to use a random wire antenna or something that needs to be tuned up, then you'll need to have an external antenna tuner. Now, I really like the Elecraft T1 antenna tuner, and it even has a cable that connects to the 817, 818, so it'll natively cat control that antenna tuner. I don't really find that necessary most of the time with my radios, because the T1's really easy to use anyway. I also have an MTech ZM2 manual antenna tuner, and I love that thing. And it pairs really nice with the 817 and 818. And I think that you can buy those for maybe less than $80. LDG also has an 817 antenna tuner that's been around nearly since this radio has been around, it seems like, and it pairs beautifully with the 817, and it's less than $200 and works really well. Lots of people have used them. But I have to say, like today, this is a very efficient setup. Just having an end-fed antenna going straight into the radio, and it's resonant on the bands I'm using it on. It doesn't get any better than that in terms of efficiency. I really like that. So, not much to complain about here. One of the things that I like about the 817 and the 818 is just it's got a great build quality, and it does a little bit of everything you want. It covers all HF bands. It even covers VHF and UHF multi-mode, so you can do single sideband 2 meters or 440 if you want to. Another really cool feature about it, is it has, let me try to move the antenna so you can see. I've got an antenna hooked up to the front BNC jack, but on the back, of course, you've got a PL-259, regular antenna cable that you could hook up there. Very few radios I know of. In fact, I can't think of another QRP radio that has 2 antenna options on it natively. And you can't use both at the same time. So you can't do like satellite work or something where you're using both at the same time, but you switch between the two. There's a menu item that you click on here, and it brings up which, let's see here, it brings up which antenna you want to use. And right now it's set to front antenna. I can set it to back antenna if I want to. Performance is identical. And this was a case today where I actually made that switch. I was using the PL-259, but since I had a BNC connector cable, I just used that for my EFT trail-friendly antenna here. So I love this radio. The reason I sold mine, I sold my 817, I think in 2009 or so, to purchase the Yellowcraft KX1. And the reason I did it was because at the time I had 2 other general coverage radios, the IC735 and the Omni 6 Plus from Tentec. And for a QRP field radio, I just wanted something that would do CW, which I had just learned. And I love the KX1. It was great. And one of the things I like, and I have one now actually, but one of the things I like about the KX1 is the ergonomics are great. The biggest criticism of the 817 are the ergonomics because it's just a tight fit for all this stuff, and it's a little tiny display. And that's one of the great things about Andy's buddy board is it breaks that out and gives you a bigger display. In fact, I'll show you here what it looks like when it's turned on. Let's see here, do I have, you know what, I probably don't have this hooked up properly. There we go. Sorry, I'm trying to manage the camera with this on there. Yeah, I'm gonna have to pull this off. That's the only way I'll be able to do that. Sorry, if I were a professional YouTube guy, I would edit this out. But you can see here on the camera, on the display, he has the frequency. It shows what the buttons will do here on these first 3 buttons. So I can tell that if I'm hitting the A button, that'll be switching between the A and B VFO. It also has a light. You can't see it very well here. It's like a nice green backlight. This is a Nokia display that comes from a Nokia, I guess originally was on Nokia phones, not cameras, before the days of smartphones, and I find that it works really well. Again, I don't need it today because today I am actually operating with this on a table and with a bail underneath it. Now these side rails, these came with the radio. I only purchased this radio last year, so I sold my 817. I missed it. In fact, I wrote a blog post about it on QRP, and my buddy Don wrote and said that he was selling his 817 and wanted to know if I wanted it, and so I bought it from him. His came with these side rails. The name of the company I can't think of at the moment, but I'll maybe try to put something in the description or at least in the blog post that accompanies this video. But they're great because it makes for a bail underneath. And anyway, those are some of the things I really love about the 817 and the 818. It just does a little bit of everything. If you want the most bang for your buck in terms of watts out, then yeah, the G90 is at least $150 cheaper. But I prefer the receiver in the 818. I think it sounds a lot nicer. The G90 is great. It does a great job as a field radio, but I find that the audio is a little harsh on it. I just prefer the 817. One thing you have to keep in mind with the 817 and 818, though, is there's an optional filter that you can put in here. And you can only put in one. You can only choose one. Since I'm a CW operator, that was naturally going to be a CW filter because without it, it's just way too wide for operating CW if you've got crowded conditions. And I bought, used from WG0AT, Steve. He was selling his 817 and actually sold me the filter from his radio, so I've got it in here now. And I love it on CW. In fact, you'll hear it here in a moment. Now, this has a clicking relay, and it's probably one of the louder radios I have, but I like it. It sounds kind of mechanical. I don't mind. The QSK portion of it sounds really good, actually, but some people won't like the relay clicking because since this radio was developed, radios started using pin diode switching for transmit receive relays, and they're just very quiet, and this one is not. So it is what it is. But again, this doesn't have a memory keyer, so I will have to key everything I'm doing today. I won't be able to push a button and have it send CQ. I'll have to do it all myself. So let's get to it, and let's see if we can find a nice quiet spot. Again, I don't need to tune up because this is basically, resonant as is. It may not be perfectly resonant, but it's resonant enough. Okay, I think we're good. I'll need to get my pen ready. See if I can turn the brightness down a little bit. I don't know why it's up so high. There we go. You can hear that switching for the TR relay. I'm gonna cheat and look here on the spots and see. Yep. It spotted me automatically through the reverse beacon network, it looks like. So hopefully I'll hear somebody soon. This is a park-to-park contact. I can never do this right. K3 MRK. I wasn't actually looking to see. He's actually S8. I called it 599. That's right. N0 TOP. I can hear that's Mike. Let's see if he's actually at S8. He's not showing up as S8. He sounds like an S8 to me, but it's not showing up on the... Okay. I know I heard somebody else in there. Let's see if I got his call right. He may be having trouble sending. Oh, it's K2. Yeah. Sometimes I get my 2s and 3s mixed up. Nice. This happens all the time. Digital stations will just pop up right on top of you. I don't think they're not listening to the band, so they don't notice that you're there, and they'll just pop up right on top of you. And there's not a lot you can do about it. I could keep going, but frankly, this is at a 500 filter width right now already, so I can't narrow it anymore. And if I'm having trouble listening, so will other people. But if you look here, I've got 14 people in the logs so far, and I actually may cut this short. I may go up to the, you know what I'll do? I'll go up to 20 meters, just for kicks. First of all, let's see if this thing will even be resonant. If it still is resonant, I should say, on 20 meters. We'll call CQ here just a little bit, and then I'll call it quits. And what I need to do is check here that the SWR is something reasonable. So I'm looking for MTR for meter. There we go. Now I press this and it goes to ALC, then it goes to SWR, and that's what I want. And I've got a great SWR, so that's very much within tolerance there. I'll make that power output again. Yeah. Now, one of the reasons I moved to 20 meters is because this antenna is resonant on 20 meters, so I can't go to 30. This is not going to be the most productive band for me because this time of day, 20 meters just isn't all that exciting. However, sometimes you get some really interesting openings when you go to the 20 meter band at the end of the afternoon. So I'm hoping the reverse beacon network's picking me up right now. Again, normally I would keep more detailed logs, but I don't need to this time. Because I've got my logs on my computer over here. And what I'll end up doing is taking a picture of that before I leave, just so I've got an extra copy. And another really cool thing is, since I'm doing the video, I can go back and look at it if I need to get my logs again. I'll look over here and see, yes, the reverse beacon network's picked me up. Now, speaking about ergonomics, the one thing that I do a lot on this radio that kind of annoys me is I'll go to change the AF gain or the RF gain, and when I do it, I'll hit the tuning knob like that, and it'll knock it off frequency. That happens to me sometimes. But I get used to it, so I can kind of be careful, you know, when I'm using it, and I'm kind of aware of it now. Yeah, we may not get anybody on 20 meters today. I'd like to get one, just to say I did. I tried to use iambic keying that time by squeezing. I mess it up when I try to do that. Now, if I wanted to go to 30 meters, I could go in my bag over there, get out the Elecraft T1 antenna tuner, and easily tune this thing up on 30 meters. Will I do that? No, because I don't need to. I've already got my valid activation. I did what I came out to do, and I've had fun. And if you look up here, you can see what the view is like, which is a really decent view. I mean, this is a nice shack, isn't it? That's the reason I like doing radio in the field. Okay, here's what we'll do. Let's see if we can hear another station. I'm going to turn this off here. Let's go to, I'm looking at the spots page, and I see there's a station on 14065.2. Let's see, 065.2. Can we hear them? This station's in Arizona. Oh, whoops, I lost him. 65 point, what was that? I've got to hop back over here. 65.2. Some noise just popped right on top of me. I don't know what that is. Some S7 noise. See that? It just came out of nowhere. I'll turn it back on. I don't think that's going to make any difference. Nope. It's just some noise around here. I'm at a park and there must be some... Okay, I heard him end that, so hopefully that was him ending it with me and he could hear me, because the noise sounds local to me. It does not sound like that noise is, one that's on the bands in general. So anyway, so I'll call it quits right now. I hope, Philip, this answered a few of your questions. Not a comprehensive review of this radio by any means, but I do love the 817. Yeah, that noise is ever present on the 20 meter band. Look at that. S8 all the way across. Something here nearby has really kicked in. So basically, when you have an S8 noise or an S7 noise, the only thing you're going to hear are really signals that are above that noise level. So you're going to have an S9 signal to hear that. Anyway, I love this radio. I plan to take it in the field a whole lot more. I'm looking forward to Andy's update to this that'll have a built-in memory keyer. That'll make it an even more useful radio. But if you're considering the 818, I think it's a wonderful radio. The KX2, I started talking about this and didn't really finish it up, but the KX2 has more features. It is definitely sort of my favorite field radio by far, and it's just because the KX2 can be one box with everything in it. It has the battery, has the internal tuner, and covers all HF. It does not have VHF and UHF, and it can't ever have those. Those are not add-ons or anything with the KX2. The KX3 can add on the 2 meter band, but for the price point, this is just, you just can't go wrong with this radio. It's such a useful radio. And I'm really happy to have it back in service here in my field kit, and I'll be taking it out. I actually like the mechanical switching. It doesn't bother me at all. And the QSK actually sounds great. You can hear in between the dits and dashes really well. Now, I could turn off QSK and it would sound better because there'd be less relay clicking. But I don't mind the relay clicking so much, especially when I've got the side tone up like I do right now. On single sideband, obviously we had 0 issues making the contacts we made here today. If we can look here, you can sort of see, if I can get this to focus, you can see some of the stations I worked. I don't know if I can get this to focus. There we go. You can see some of the stations that we worked in single sideband had no issue whatsoever doing that. I could have easily made this whole activation about single sideband, and that's operating with 5 watts out. That's all. And that's all you really need for Parks on the Air. People are listening for you, and you're the DX, which makes it just a much more advantageous thing to do when you're running QRP. And anyway, that's my thoughts on the FT-817 and 818. If you have other thoughts, feel free to comment in the comment section. I'd love it if you'd subscribe. I know these videos aren't for everyone, and that's perfectly fine. I have no ads in these videos. Many of you have asked how you can support me. Do plan to upgrade and get a proper camera for doing this. And if you want to upgrade, if you want to support me, you can do so through Patreon or through PayPal, and I'll leave links to that. Don't feel any obligation to do that whatsoever. It's just if you want to. I'd appreciate it, but it's not necessary if you go spend money on radios or whatever you want to do. Anyway, thanks so much. 7 3s, and I'll see you again soon.